We just got off some bonus modern coverage as we couldn't find another feature match for round one, but yes, we are playing standard at tonight's FNM tournament. We got two stream regulars on the left. It's Alec Myers playing much like he does every week his Colossal Gruul deck, so using Nykthos to do degenerate things and cast fatties like Glucanos and Arbor Colossus. And his opponent, one half of the Wright brothers, it's Scotty Wright, and he is playing blue-white control. His brother's also playing blue-white control. It's all blue-white in the Wright household this week, it seems. So a turn 2 Scavenging Ooze is met by a Last Breath, and Scotty follows up with a Ratchet Bomb.
That's pretty good. Already coming out. Yep. Didn't they make the fetch lands go up really high?
Star City?
Yeah.
Was there discussion in the chat about them cornering the market?
Yeah.
They didn't corner the market, they just increased their buy price, which caused a lot of people to sell them to them, and then you can sell them for higher because of the buyouts happen all the time.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, but
It happens.
it's hard to fault a company when they say, hey, we're going to pay you $20 for your Verdant Catacomb. You're like,
Yeah.
alright, I'll sell you all of them. So a Domri lands, Ratchet Bomb still on one, it's going to be several turns away, but the cool thing about the blue-white deck that the Wright brothers play is it plays like 3 copies of Mutavault, I think, which give it a little bit of reach against these Planeswalkers. Of course, now Alec, thanks to chaining Nykthos, has multiple Planeswalkers now.
Yeah, 18.
And that is going to be a little bit difficult for the 2 Mutavaults to answer, especially through a Satyr token coming from Xenagos. Huh?
I was thinking whether or not he's going to attack or not. I guess not.
No.
Guess you don't want to it's a double mutable activation.
Yeah, I think you're fine with just fading the 2 damage and ticking up both your Planeswalkers. Because Scotty, in order to, like, he can't attack in. Like, he just had to tick a Ratchet Bomb and kill Domri in 2 turns and then hope he can answer Xenagos at some point.
He has D-Sphere in hand.
Domri activation, revealing nothing.
And off the top.
He's got a Chandra in hand.
It's pretty good.
Just Gruul Super Friends.
Yeah.
He just needs 1 Garrick, right?
Yeah. You have that against Vickers on a wall to 6. Pretty good.
Alec using all of his run good in round 1 as he beat the mono black devotion deck of Adam Vickers. So we're just going to activate Devotion on Nykthos for green and cast an Arbor Colossus. What's interesting too about this board state, what's not interesting, is not the good word, or not the best word for it, but just good for Alec, is he's overloading onto the board, he's overextending, but he only has 2 creatures on board, and only one of them he actually cast. So he's not playing into Verdict at all. So there's the Ratchet Bomb taking out the Domri.
There's also 7 lands, so.
Yep, and there we go with the D-Sphere as expected on the Xenagos. But we're still going to be able to pound in here for 8. Scry with the Temple, shoving it to the bottom. We know Chandra's coming up. Oh no, it's just a replacement Xenagos.
It's pretty good.
So he's going to make a token and attack for 10. So putting Scotty all the way down to 8 here. So still sandbagging that...
Nice.
He leaving the blocker up, much like in the early game, with the first Xenagos to keep it alive from Mutavaults. We got porn. Oh, come on. That's not what I wanted to do.
He was saying on him.
That's what it is, isn't it? Isn't it this one? Unban. First one, unban him, and then we'll mod him. Nailed it. Alright, so meanwhile, back to the game. Ticking up Xenagos again. Or not ticking it up, but just activating the 0. Making more Satyrs. We're serving in this time for 6. With Satyrs, 12 total with the Colossus. So we're going to have to throw a Mutavault in front of something. The Colossus does not trample, correct?
No, it does not. It's monstrous.
It's just 6/6 reach. If it doesn't have reach,
It does.
and then it plummet when you activate monstrous, right?
Yeah. 6. 6/6. Temple of Mystery is an interesting one.
Oh,
That sucks.
I don't think you really have to pull the trigger there. I think you can just sandbag it, and then if he answers, he's going to have to tap out basically anyway, because he needs a Supreme Verdict here. So, but I mean, he's going to have to tap out. He's not going to be able to leave Counterspell Magic up, because he's not going to have Negate in game 1. Doesn't really matter, I figure, because Alec has a billion permanents in play. So, didn't Scotty stumble on land there? He missed a land drop at some point. He said, bring it. He said, I put Binder together, and I've got a lot of stuff in there for my commander decks that I don't want to part with, but I will for, like, those stuff.
Yeah.
And so he looked through it. He had a Modern Master's Goyf. He had a Force of Will. He had Alec. He had a Karn. And I was like, yeah, there's tons of stuff we'll trade in here. But he's like, well, I don't want to trade with a dealer because, like, I just want to trade straight up. And I was like, that's not how it works. And also, you're not going to find those out on the trade floor at the West Virginia PTQ. Yeah. And so he left with none of them. I was, like, very upset because I was like, look, we give you a good deal on this stuff. Better than you'll get from Star City or something.
Yeah.
Somebody's talking about Hive Mind in the chat. I'm on board. Meanwhile, let's talk about the game. After sideboards with Scotty on the play, turn 2 Sylvan Caryatid from Alec, going to help him ramp his mana, as well as an Elvish Mystic, and then Scotty is going to play a 4th land. We're going to Verdict here. There's an argument that can be made for Verdicting in this spot to try and keep Alec off mana, though I don't necessarily think it's super important. Probably a lot better now that he plays the Plukernos. But the problem is if he plays his 4th land and then taps out for Garrick, you're in a much worse spot.
Yeah. So
the Supreme Verdict is a lot better in that situation. So I guess you have to put the Soul Read on your opponent.
Yeah.
Figure out what they're holding.
But I'm sure Scotty has a counterspell.
He has a Negate.
So, yeah.
True. I guess he's got all angles covered here. I believe looking at his hand as he filters through it, there is a Negate, an Elspeth, and a Verdict. And a Dissolve. So Scotty looking pretty good here. So he's going to dissolve the Pelucranos and then take one from an Elvish Mystic. Elf Beatdown, not the way Alec had drawn this up, I'm sure. So Scotty plays his 5th land and passes back. We know he's sitting on Negate mana. And next turn he's looking for a 6th land and then landing Elspeth. And there's a Garrett Color of Beast, which is going to meet the fastest Negate in history. And then Alec can't even serve in here because the Mutavault is still up. There's the 6th land, but it's a temple. So we'll have to wait a turn on that. But we do see Supreme Verdict. There's... Oh yes, very much so. Alec is flooding out here a little bit. Scotty is drawn just enough lands and just enough business. His hand is Verdict, Elspeth. There's a Xenagos. Is it going to stick?
Looks like it.
Yep, make a Satyr. Serve in for 2. Scotty choosing not to block with his Mutavault because he does have the option to untap Verdict and then attack with the Mutavault into Xenagos down to 1. That's probably a better play than putting the Elspeth out there and making tokens, I would think, right?
I don't know. That could be an argument for... Ooh, well.
He's just going to sandbag the Verdict even more. Because Alec can't really serve in here. I mean, he can shock him down to 15 with 1 Satyr. But Scotty's fine with that. I think this line's more conservative. Of course, I didn't know he had Beast here in his hand.
Yeah.
I'm trying to attack into Xenagos with the Mutavault. I mean, those Mutavaults make this matchup so much more bearable, just being able to attack with creatures. There's so many times when the control deck just doesn't have an answer to the Planeswalker and it just goes unchecked. And there's a Voyaging Satyr, which will combo well with the Nykthos. Of course, his Devotion right now is only 3, so he's not actually netting any mana.
Probably sandbagging something.
So there is the Verdict, clearing out everything, leaving up Negate mana if he has it. Not sure what's in his hand. There's a burning tree, which sticks. Then we're going to cast a Pelucranos. So good follow-up from Alec. Looks like he's down to 1 card in hand. We know Scotty's going to play an Elspeth here, but can we kill it with Pelucranos? No. Scotty's all verdicts all day. And the Mutavault attacks commence. So Alec top decks a burning tree and then just passes back. Scotty well in control here. He's sandbagging the Elspeth. I guess he still has a counter. I mean, he doesn't have a counter spell. He didn't have one last turn.
That's a good one.
Rurik Thar. So Rurik Thar is going to take 6, right? Oh, in response to Rurik Thar, we're going to.
Next turn.
Yep.
Minus.
So Rurik Thar, in response, Sphinx's Revelation. So go ahead and gain that 4. More importantly, not take 6. Now Scotty has to 6 himself to Supreme Verdict everything away. Not bad. 3 verdicts, 2 counterspells, and a Sphinx's Rev, along with the Elspeth that's still in his hand. Not been a bad draw for Scotty. And we serve in again with the Mutavault. There's another Garrick. I'm going to plus him and draw an Elvish Mystic, a Burning Tree, a Satyr, and shoving a Force and a Pyromaster. So the good news is you drew 3 creatures. The bad news is you can't cast any of them and they all suck. So now might be the point at which we feel free to play an Elspeth. Well, actually, I don't know, because you don't want to give Alec 6 mana to a Garrick activation at 6 mana.
Yeah. If you have D-Sphere, then D-Sphere.
Yeah. Or Pithing Needle. That works just as good. Now you just run out the Elspeth, don't you? No, play an island first.
Alec does have things to get rid of.
Huh?
Alec does have things to get rid of the artifacts, so you might play around that. Like, Reveille.
Divination. Scotty going deep here, so drawing 2 cards. He's already played his land for the turn, so we're not seeing Elspeth this turn. We are going to see an Elixir, which in an odd way in these blue-white decks works as the win condition. Cast all of my guys. Burning Tree Trains into Voyaging Satyr, and then an Elvish Mystic. Activate Nykthos for another. No, just hard casting a Satyr there.
Oh, wait, he has a Nykthos in hand.
Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 mana for the Elspeth. I'm going to go ahead and make 3 tokens here. We've still got Counterspell. We still got Dissolve mana up if we have it. I know there's another Needle in his hand. He's got Negate as well. Another Elspeth. Looks like Negate, Elspeth, and another Needle. So serving in with everybody here. So we load up a Mutavault to take down 1 Satyr, chump an Emissary, trade with the Mystic, take 1 from the unblocked Satyr. When the dust settles, Alec passes back Scotty with an Elspeth on 4 and 1 token to spare. This Elspeth's pretty tough to beat once it gets in play, if you're not the Hero's Downfall deck. If you're the Hero's Downfall deck, then, like,
Pretty easy.
yeah, it's like actually these Planeswalkers are not nearly as good, but you don't always have it, and most decks don't have Hero's Downfall on it.
It's pretty much just mono black, right?
Yeah, some of like the Jund control decks, like the Jund midrange or the Junk midrange deck,
They run those.
but not nearly as popular as the decks that don't. So there is a Pelucranos. We can actually activate it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Untap with the Satyr. Nope, he's just going to kill the tokens with Pelucranos. Serve in to Elspeth for 3.
Yeah. also. So.
Yeah,
So
that's
another Elspeth too.
yes. I think every time that Alec attacks the Elspeth, Scotty is secretly ecstatic about it.
Yeah.
We're going to cycle a charm here, or we're going to fire off our elixir. Elixir it is, so it goes back up to 16, shuffles back in all of his business. Careful not to shuffle in the pithing needle, which is the only thing that's keeping him in this game, ironically. For as far ahead as Scotty is in this game, yeah. I was going to say we know we've already burned through 3 verdicts, but he just shuffled them all back into his deck. So Scotty untaps with 11 mana, active Elspeth, Needle on Garrick, a soldier token. He's got 2 Mutavaults hiding over there at the top of the screen. Looks like a Ratchet Bomb in hand. Tap 6. So we're going to chain our Elspeths here. We're going to minus Elspeth, get rid of the Plukernos. So the oft unseen -2 on Elspeth. Is it -2, right?
If she starts out at 4, it's -3, I think.
Yep, -3 is the retribution for the meek. Destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater, right?
Yep.
So clear out Plukernos. Serve in with some Mutavault, with a Mutavault and a token. Put Alec down to 8, more importantly. He's running low on resources. He's going... I wondered what was going on. He's just... I believe that's what the kids say for the lols,
Yes.
Nick, as he... nickname. One of my favorite ones on YouTube is Sketchy Man in White Van.
I do like that.
I also like Abraham Lincoln. He also follows me.
That's fun.
Those are a couple good ones. Sketchy Man in a Van is a good one. Angelic Pocket Watch.
Some creative names. So Mystics to start off.
Alright, so Alec on a mold of 6 here. Starts off with a turn 1 Elvish Mystic. That's the best case scenario for him, following up with what I should be a Scavenging Ooze, I would think. Nope, Emissary into another Elvish Mystic. So if he has a Nick those, he's going to be in a pretty good spot here.
Might even take the uses, because it might be too slow in this matchup.
That's a very good point. I think you're exactly right. Bring those in. Bring in Destructive Revelry.
Yeah.
What else would he bring in?
Miscutters.
Oh, Miscutters, yeah. And there is a Syncopate for 1. A card that a lot of people have forgotten about. A Syncopate going to exile a Xenagos and stall Alec just slightly here as he misses his 3rd land drop. Passes back to Scotty, and there's a D-Sphere on Elvish Mystics. So this one might be over relatively quickly. Still going to serve in with her Emissary. And then play a Voyaging Satyr. Sometimes all you need is Grizzly Bear to attack 10 times. In modern playtesting a couple weeks ago, I lost to a Splinter Twin opponent in which I had resolved Slaughter Games twice, naming Splinter Twin and Kiki Jiki. I lost to a Deceiver Exarch that attacked 12 times.
Gosh.
Well, he also drew all 4 of his sideboarded Dispels,
Yeah.
but like sometimes it gets there.
Yeah.
You just gotta keep playing them. It's not the way you drew it up, but sometimes you do it.
It's ridiculous, though.
It is ridiculous.
Dominick's going to try to come down here.
It made me very sad, actually. So Scotty leaving the Scry on top, just serving in here for 3. Alec just passes back, stuck on 2 lands, more importantly, really suffering from the D-Sphere netting 2 Elvish Mystics early in the game. Scotty just passes back with nothing. We're going to see an Azorius Charm on the Voyaging Satyr. So set Alec back even further here, blinking his next draw step. Of course, course, Scotty willing. Well, there's news, so he left him in. Scotty, of course, willing to take the extra damage from the Burning Tree because the Azorius Charm not nearly as good when you're putting Burning Tree and its activated or its triggered ability on the top of your deck.
It's pretty evil.
So Scotty's hand, I can see, as so far, is a Hallowed Fountain. A Supreme Verdict, which I think he's going to fire off here. Hallowed Fountain, Verdict, and a lot of cards I do not see. So unlikely to have an Elspeth here, because I think he would have slammed an Elspeth in that spot. Oh, and even had a mana left over for this Elixir of Immortality. Alec just replaying the Voyaging Satyr we knew he had. There's a Burning Tree Emissary chained into a Xenagos. Is that Xenagos going to resolve? It does. Wow. So Scotty, despite being relatively well ahead, is now in kind of a situation here. The Sphinx's Revelation at end of turn is going to draw him 3 cards, gain him 3 life, back up to 12.
This chat.
As the chat degrades into a rather blue context, we'll just leave it at that. So Scotty plays a Mutavault. There's a Pithing Needle naming Xenagos. And there's an Elspeth. Make 3 dudes. But the 3 dudes aren't very good at blocking the 3 creatures, but they are going to just fog every turn. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can just ultimate at some point, but you can never really afford to ultimate. But you do get to draw a billion cards in the meantime. So Scotty willing just to knock Elspeth down to 3 there. Trade with the Traveling Satyr, Voyaging Satyr. Why do I always say Traveling Satyr? Voyaging Satyr. Chump block the Emissary. And now we can load up on more tokens. So Alec's mana trouble really determining the outcome of this game.
I think it might be game. But...
yeah, it was, in my opinion, it was the game when he desphered the 2 Mystics.
Yeah.
It's like, it's one of those situations where the game was probably over then, but you just don't recognize it until like 20 turns later. So Mistcutter for a measly 2 trades with 2 soldier tokens. And Elspeth maintaining parity here at 3. 3 fresh new tokens. We're loading up Mutavault and sending in. Somebody's very excited out there about something. So we're making 3 more tokens. There's an irrelevant Nykthos from Alec. You can tell by his body language he's incredibly frustrated. There's the nail in the coffin. A Sphinx's Revelation for 5 more. Alec's going to get his money's worth here. He's not winning this at all, but might as well make him play it out, right? I guess you could not attack and not activate anything for like 6 turns.
Yeah.
Get in there. So making more soldier tokens. I know that stack of tokens I provide is running out of tokens for sure. There's no way there's still going to be more after the next activation. And now we're tapping, is that 4 for a Jace Architect of Thought? We go ahead and draw some cards. Nope, tick it up. There's a Pelucranos. It's dissolved. Scribe, shove it to the bottom. Scotty had to previously discard an island. Make more tokens. So attack you with all of these. Block 1, go down to 8. So Alec dead on board. Nailed it. Burning Tree. Activate Nykthos for 1, 2, 3. Doesn't net any mana. Can filter mana, I guess. Do you have Electrickery? Trying to cast all these guys. So you see Alec really up against it mana-wise, as he had both Rurik Thar and Garrett Collar of Beast in his hand. Would have gone a long ways to help him dig out of that situation, but alas, 3 lands and no mana dorks mean that he could not cast any of them. So Scotty moves to 2-0 on the night, 4 rounds of Swiss, so he's a win away from being able to draw into tonight's top 8, and then Alec still drawing live here, but's going to need to win the next 2 in order to cash.